Hello, 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 and welcome to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today is the 24th of June, and I decided to do a live stream today because I'm going to be headed to Yellowstone National Park with a bunch of my friends from church tomorrow, and I'll be gone clear till Sunday pretty much, well, Saturday late. So I figured, you know what, better hop on a live stream. The crypto markets are looking pretty dang good. And I figured, hey, perfect day to do a little live stream. Get you guys updated before I leave and tell you my thoughts and let you know what I think is going to happen. So welcome everybody, Stoic Pioneers. Thank you for tuning in. Operation Shutdown. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, man, and I'm glad we could have a little surprise live stream today. Let's see, what is ETHA, Stoic Pioneers? Do you just mean Ethereum? Did you accidentally put A there, or clarify that for me, and we'll do some analysis after we cover Bitcoin on that. Mike, what is up, my friend? Good morning. Feels like the parabolic run is right around the corner. Yeah, I agree with you. It does look very, very parabolic looking in the bigger picture, and it looks like we're going to really start to take off. So things are looking good for Bitcoin. I mean, look how quickly Bitcoin recovered right here. Really, we didn't fail support. The cool thing about support and resistance is always a zone. So if you're ever wondering, oh, did the support level fail? Is it going to go lower? Support and resistance is a zone. So you will get wicks. Wicks will make it look like it's failing support a lot of times. And then it'll just jump right back up because support is not like an absolute line. It's just a zone. And so we did react very bullishly off of this horizontal support level on Bitcoin, which is really no surprise because if you look at the MACD, we're pretty oversold right now in relation to how overbought we were up here. And it's usually a pretty good sign for people that are looking for entries, and a lot of the bigger players, the market makers, the guys that have a bunch of money, they're going to buy the dip during periods like that, right, where the market's super oversold. The other thing that we saw here, and a lot of people don't look at this, but the MACD, if you don't know about the MACD, it's a very, very, very useful indicator. And a lot of people look for bullish and bearish divergence with these two lines right here. But you can also look for bullish and bearish divergence with the histogram. So the histogram is this green and this red looking thing down here. And basically you can use this as another form of bullish and bearish divergence. As you can see right here on Bitcoin, we had our low, then we made a higher low on the histogram. But on the actual price of Bitcoin, we made a lower low. So that's classic bullish divergence, but instead of forming with the signal line and the MACD line, which is also useful to look at for when the market's overbought and it needs to pull back, or when it's oversold and it needs to be bought back up, or when there's bullish or bearish divergence on the MACD and the signal line right here, this orange and this blue line. But the histogram is also extremely useful for finding bullish and bearish divergence, and that's exactly what we see here on the histogram. We have bullish divergence, so it's no surprise that we're both oversold, meaning that the price needs to bounce back up, and we also have bullish histogram divergence, which is a really strong buy signal. So this recovery here on Bitcoin, not a big surprise for Bitcoin, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking really, really good here. We also have a bullish flag pattern, as you can see, forming here for Bitcoin. And if you guys aren't a member of the free Discord, make sure you go join. the free Discord. The only thing I will say, if somebody messages you and asks for money or tries to have you sign up for some website where it will automatically trade for you or something like that, and it looks like me, it's not me. I do everything I possibly can to ban anybody that joins the Discord that tries to impersonate me. But unfortunately, it's really hard to completely stop. So I try everything that I possibly can, but just be aware, if you're not a member of the free Discord, you join the free Discord, I'm never ever going to message you guys and ask for money or have you go sign up for some website that's like an automatic trading website. So just be aware of that. But here in the free Discord, you can go down to this spot called Knowledge and Links. And in here, you'll see a top trading patterns Google Drive that I created here. And the bullish flag is one of those common crypto trading patterns. I also made a video about it on my channel. So if you guys didn't watch that video, it's like an hour long, and I go in depth about all of the top trading patterns and how to use them and how to profit off of the most common crypto trading patterns. So that's over here. It's called Crypto Trading Patterns You Need to Know for Big Profits. So go watch that video if you want to learn more about trading patterns. But the bullish flag pattern suggests continuation coming for Bitcoin, and the type of continuation that would mean a new all-time high. The pattern technically isn't confirmed until you get a breakout above this white line right here. Do you see this white line on top right here? It's not confirmed till you break above that level, but we are seeing the early signs of a bull flag. We see bullish flag structure here, as you can see. So the second we break above this white line here, that would confirm the pattern, and we'd be going for a new all-time high on Bitcoin. Contrary to all of the news, all of the World War III stuff people were freaking out about, which looks like it may be sort of, I'm not going to get political in today's live stream at all, but it is interesting how people freak out. They panic sell their stocks, their crypto, and then all of a sudden the next day we're recovered, right? So it's pretty crazy to see the correlation between high FUD when people are really afraid and then the quick recovery that happens after those periods of time. So, all right, cool. So yeah, welcome everybody. Good to see you guys all tuning in. Let's see, Stoic Pioneers, it's an ETF for Ethereum. I can't believe I didn't know about that. I mainly just look at the cryptos. I don't do a lot of ETF trading or anything like that. So let me see. ETHA. Ethereum Trust shares. Ethereum. I guess it's probably this first one here. ETF. Yeah, here we go. So this is following Ethereum. So really we could just do analysis on Ethereum, right? The ETF and Ethereum are going to follow very closely. And you can see that if we were to add Ethereum to this chart and compare the two together, you'd actually see pretty quickly here, let me do this, that it's the same thing, right? Like if we pull up Ethereum, Ethereum being the purple line right here, let's make it green, and then the ETF being right behind it. So the ETF is obviously following Ethereum. So a lot of times you can just do analysis on whatever coin you're looking at, and it's going to give you the same, it's going to look exactly like what the ETF is going to look like, right? With that being said, Ethereum, I am bullish on Ethereum for quite a few reasons. And let's just go over to the Ethereum chart because it's going to do the same thing that the ETF is going to do. So we'll pull up the Ethereum chart. There's a little bit more data. It's a 24-hour traded market, so it has a little bit more data, a little bit more clarity in the chart. And if you look right here, one of the really, really good looking things here with Ethereum is actually this descending broadening wedge. So that's a bullish continuation pattern, this descending broadening wedge. And we've already started to see some bullishness coming up off of the bottom of this descending broadening wedge. And what we can see here based on this descending broadening wedge is a very high potential for continuation in the Ethereum market. Now, there is a fractal that looks exactly like this. I believe it's Microsoft. So let me pull up Microsoft and go see if that's the right one. It's actually, let's see here, Microsoft Corporation. It's actually crazy how many times you'll see a lot of the same things happening in markets repeating themselves over and over again. It might not be Microsoft. Actually, normally I can just remember exactly what fractal right off the top of my head, but I don't know which one it is. But there's a fractal that looks a lot like Ethereum early back in the day, where it did this exact same descending broadening wedge. And as a result of that descending broadening wedge, there was a huge bullish breakout. So it is a common trading pattern that you'll see in crypto and stocks. And it is a bullish pattern. It looks kind of crazy, right? Because it looks like it's downtrending in a way, you know? But it's actually forming a bullish continuation pattern. So my view on Ethereum is that we will break out up above the resistance of this descending broadening wedge and see further continuation for this coin and the ETF as well. So can you cover Telcoin? Actually, it's so funny you brought that up because there's a good chance next week, not this week because I won't be able to because of my church stuff that I'm going to, and going to go to a huge activity out in Yellowstone with my friends and my friends from church and stuff. But next week, there's a good chance I'll be making a video on Telcoin. So, but we'll do some analysis on it right now. I was looking back and I was like, holy cow, I haven't made a Telcoin video in like since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Like, I need to make another Telcoin video. But yeah, let's cover Telcoin real quick right now too as well. So one of the things I really like about this chart is the bullish divergence. So you can see a lower low right here, and then you can see a higher low on the MACD. So that's a very, very potent bullish divergence signal here on the daily candlesticks. And what can happen, the fruition of this type of a pattern, is that you can get a strong bullish reaction off of these lower support levels and a very, very vertical recovery based on that bullish divergence. So this is still following the Ethereum fractal that I've been showing in relation to Telcoin since I started making videos about it, because I started to cover Telcoin on this channel down here before we had this first initial breakout. And really my view is the exact same as what it was when I first started covering it. It's only just progressing along the story of the fractal that we're seeing. So that story being Ethereum back in 2018. It's the same story as Ethereum in 2018. Let's pull up 15-day candlesticks for Ethereum, and we'll keep the 15-day candlesticks over here on Telcoin. And it's the same story in terms of a market cycle, in terms of the psychology of what's going on. And you can see over here, we have a correction on Ethereum that happened after the double bottom, sideways accumulation, double bottom. We had this nice little correction here, and that's really exactly what Telcoin is doing currently. Sideways accumulation, double bottom, nice little correction. So as Bitcoin is preparing to go parabolic like I believe it is, we're going to start to see the altcoin markets go parabolic along with Bitcoin. Now, the thing is eventually, nobody knows exactly when, but there's always a point in every cycle where Bitcoin dominance starts to go down, even though the price of Bitcoin goes up, and that's really the definition of alt season. And that could be very soon, with a lot of these altcoins primed for a vertical breakout like what we already saw on Bitcoin, running all the way up to 100K. So there's some exciting things coming in the altcoin markets as well. It's not just Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin has been doing very good this cycle. Love it. I'm in Wyoming. Nice. Yeah, Wyoming is pretty cool. I don't know if you've ever been fishing in Flaming Gorge before, but a lot of times I'll go fishing on the Utah side of Flaming Gorge and also on the Wyoming side of Flaming Gorge. A lot of ice fishing and a lot of just fishing on a boat for kokanee salmon. And yeah, Wyoming's a pretty sweet place. So surprise early week live stream. Smash those likes, Deegans. Hey, thanks, Matt Osty. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. I usually don't ask people to smash up my likes personally because I have these really cool people in my chat that go ask other people to do it for me. See, even Enjoy Life says hit like and subscribe. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. What's your opinion on Aave? It looks like it's going in a bullish run. So yeah, I made a video about Aave not too long ago. Somewhere around right here I made a video about it. For some reason, Aave doesn't have, maybe I just didn't title my video very good, but Aave doesn't seem to have as big of a community on YouTube, which is interesting to me because it looks like one of the best charts on the entire setup. So, I mean, one of the best setups in the entire crypto market. So it kind of blows my mind that Aave doesn't have like as big of a community on YouTube, at least in terms of my video. I guess maybe I just didn't do good on that one. But yeah, I thought for sure Aave would have a bigger community. The chart looks really good. So you can see we have Ethereum over here on the right, but it looks like Ethereum, but it actually looks even more like Bitcoin in 2015 in terms of the market cycle. But all market cycles are very similar. There's just going to be small differences in their cycles. And so, that's why you're going to see such a similarity between both charts, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin. But if we pull up the Bitcoin chart, it's even more like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, one of Bitcoin's first cycles back here in 2014, 2015, and 2016, as you can see over here. And the main reason for that is because of the correction right here that we recently saw, which is very, very similar to the correction that we recently saw on Aave. But yeah, as far as a parabolic run coming for this coin, we do have a perfect market cycle, you guys. We have a lot of volume, a bunch of volume down here. You can see massive accumulation. In terms of the project, if you guys are into the fundamental aspect of crypto, Aave does have very, very, very strong fundamentals, and it's a perfect market cycle. What more can you ask for than this? You know, you guys, if you want to get rich in these markets, and I know all of you guys do, the easiest, simplest strategy that everybody overlooks because a lot of people just can't think big picture enough is to look for these cycles, to look for a big market cycle like this, and then buy before it goes parabolic. Because it's pretty easy to identify a market cycle. A child can identify a market cycle. But if you get somebody, you know, that thinks that thinks they're going to be able to trade, for example, smaller time frames, a lot of people, they go to trade these smaller time frames and they get chopped all around and they lose a bunch of money, and they're so focused on the smaller time frame. They're not thinking big picture enough. And the more that you can focus on thinking big picture, it's going to simplify your trading. You're going to make way more money. It's going to be way less stressful. The only thing that you have to do is tune out from the news, because there's always going to be some day where it looks like it's going to drop, and then you question whether the big picture market cycle's really going to play out or not because of some world event going on, and then you second guess your analysis. But if you can tune out from the news and just trust the charts and focus on these bigger cycles, a child could identify a market cycle. And a child could make a lot of money in crypto buying the dip on something in the big picture, just like Aave, even though, yeah, it recovered a little bit off of its bottom here. In relation to how high the market cycles go, I mean, look how parabolic they can run after the market cycle starts to take off. So something like Aave can go way higher than $267. And if you're mad at yourself that you didn't buy the exact bottom, you've still got a lot of profit to be made this cycle. A lot of money to be made. Imagine what's going to happen to the meme coin markets when we're going like this. Over here on Bitcoin, over on the right. When we really go parabolic and go full force into this bull market, imagine what's going to happen to the meme coin markets. If you think you're going to get rich on Aave, which you absolutely will, at the peak of this cycle, when everything's going crazy, it's going to be ridiculous. The stuff that happens, the meme coins, everything is going to be going up like crazy. And that's going to be a sure sign that the cycle top is near. You know, when you see meme coins getting like 50 billion in market cap or something like that, then you can start to say, okay, this is a little sketchy. Not stuff like Dogecoin that's established, but just random coins on Dex Screener will do stuff like that. So yeah, imagine how much money we're going to make, not only on good projects with good fundamentals, but as we get closer to the top of the cycle, we're going to make a lot of money on all of the parabolic movement happening in the markets, including a lot of really stupid meme coins that have no real long-term value of any kind. Let's see here. There's my live stream. What's your opinion? Oh, I just answered that question. Can you do analysis on Chill Guy? Yeah, let's do it. Pull up old Dex Screener here. There's also, I got requested by some people on Twitter, so I'll have to, on X, I like to call it X, because, you know, might as well respect the name change. Yeah, Chill Guy's up 14% in the past 24 hours, which is good. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, what I was just talking about with Aave. A child can identify a market cycle. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every single time a market does this and then comes back down like that it's just going to recover and go to the moon. But if you're in a raging bull market, which we are with crypto, a lot of times they do. Like, a lot of times they will recover. And if you're in a bear market, for example, think of how many times the bigger coins like Ethereum recovered after 90% retracements. So if you can learn how to identify that market cycle, you can do really good things. And here with Chill Guy, that's exactly what we see. We see a full market cycle here. And that market cycle is starting to show the early signs of a bottom. You can start to see we're starting to recover a little bit up off of these lows. And that's really the first signs of a reversal in any market cycle, is to start to see a little bit of buying pressure. Then you come back down and you go back down to support. And that's exactly like what happened. Let's pull up a really good example. Would actually be Ethereum is a good example of this, because it's a very similar kind of structure. So you can see here with Ethereum, you have your market cycle, and then once the market cycle bottoms out, it starts to recover a little bit, and then it comes back down. This is called the disbelief phase, the suckers rally. Nobody believes that it's going to recover during this period of the market cycle. And then look what can happen after. Isn't that amazing how vertical the market can go right after a huge correction like this? And that's exactly what we see here with Chill Guy. We see a full-blown pump, a full retracement, and the early signs of a new cycle, a double bottom kind of structure, just like what happened over here with Ethereum. So that's the nature of a market cycle. And, you know, Mark Twain said history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So when you're studying these cycles, the more cycles that you look at, the more that you analyze, the better you're going to get at seeing where that coin is at in its cycle, and also recognizing the unique differences between the cycles as well, so that you're not just saying, oh, well, it didn't do this right here, but it did do that right there. How is this even a market cycle? No, a market cycle doesn't have to look exactly the same. It's just a cycle of human emotion. That's why the market goes so high, everybody gets so excited, and then the retracement happens because profit gets taken, and then they get fearful, and the emotion goes in the other direction as well. So that's, as far as Chill Guy goes, this looks like the beginning of something big, something new at least, for Chill Guy. And we do have wave 1, wave 2, and expecting a wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. And you guys, if crypto really takes off like crazy, if Bitcoin goes to 250,000 per coin, or even, let's say Bitcoin hit 400,000 per coin before the cycle is over, a lot of these meme coins will break above their old all-time high. And a lot of utility projects, like good fundamental projects, will completely obliterate their all-time highs as well. So it's not impossible. If the market cap has been that high before, and then Bitcoin goes all the way to 250K or even 400K in a crazy moonshot, the market caps of a lot of these meme coins can go higher than their highest points before. So this is definitely within the realm of possibility to have full recoveries in the market. A lot of different coins will see a full recovery. BCH and LTC. Yeah, BCH is doing really good. I'm glad that I made a video about it recently because actually I've been covering BCH for quite some time now, like over 2 years or something like that. I've been making Bitcoin Cash videos for a while. I think like steadily for a year, but I even made some a lot longer than that. Long before that. And so in the short term with BCH, we do have a very, very, very clear ABC correction, which I've talked about on other live streams, but we're starting to see the recovery of that ABC correction, which is a really good sign to see momentum coming back in on BCH. And if you go to the 15-day candlesticks and zoom out just a little bit here, you can see that we have been going sideways for a long time. Now, what do you guys think happens when a market goes sideways like this? Well, that's the sign of accumulation, especially if you have steady volume like this. That's a clear sign of market accumulation. And the accumulation that we're seeing with Bitcoin Cash is multi-year. We're talking about we've been accumulating really since 2017, even though we had a pump right here. It's all part of the same accumulation pattern. And it can be really useful to go study and go look at some accumulation patterns in other markets to get an idea of what can happen. The closest example of an accumulation pattern in a market that looks similar to BCH is Litecoin, which I've also showed plenty of times. But some of you guys are new viewers, so I'll show it again here. Where are we? We have to pull up Litecoin on Bitfinex because you don't get the historical data if you don't. So let me see here. Where are you hiding? Goodness gracious. Okay, here's what we can do. We can just go like this. Actually, we can do that. Let me hold on. Bear with me for just a second, you guys. I probably scrolled past it like 3 times. There we go. Okay, cool. So here is Litecoin over here on the right. This is an example of an accumulation pattern. So this is really the exact same thing that BCH is doing right now. Before 2017 happened, which was a huge bull market for crypto, especially in terms of percentage gain, a lot of these coins just went sideways. They look dead. If you don't understand, for a person that doesn't understand how markets work and the way that they accumulate and the patterns that they make, Litecoin would have looked completely dead. I mean, you can even use this really cool tool called the replay button, and it will take away the price action. And if you look at Litecoin like this, and then you look at BCH like this, a lot of people are saying BCH is dead. People that don't know what they're talking about, they look at BCH and they say, look, that thing is dead. Hasn't pumped in forever. In multiple years, it hasn't pumped. But if you look at Litecoin over here, right before the 2017 pump happened, that's what an accumulation pattern can look like. It's very common to get this kind of a structure in any market, whether it's gold, silver, crypto, stocks, whatever. A lot of times you'll see this exact same pattern occurring. And what happens, the fruition of what happens based on this is, we'll just turn off the replay mode. And this is what happened after that accumulation pattern. You can see Litecoin broke out all the way up to a new all-time high and went vertical. So that's what can happen when you have multiple years of accumulation inside of a market where it looks dead, it looks like nothing else is going to happen, it looks like everybody's given up on it. But what's really going on? You have to ask yourself, what's really happening here? It still has massive market cap. Like, what is really happening here for Bitcoin Cash? And if you do a little bit of study and a little bit of research, it's been doing a multi-year accumulation pattern for quite some time, and it's ready for something big, something very vertical. And how high it goes, nobody knows for sure. If it follows the same Fibonacci extensions as Litecoin, it could hit anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 per coin, which is pretty crazy when it's worth $450 or $451. But you have to understand that Bitcoin went from being worth $180 in 2015 all the way to $20,000. So it's not crazy for something to go from being worth a few $100s to $20,000 or $10,000 if there's the momentum to do it. And the crypto markets are set up for something really big. This is the mass adoption cycle. So momentum isn't going to be a problem. So I'm definitely bullish on Bitcoin Cash. And now let's pull up some Litecoin here. Do analysis on Litecoin for you. And we'll go ahead and compare. Well, first, let's zoom into the chart. Before we do any fractal comparisons, as powerful and as useful as they are, let's take a look at what's happening from an Elliot Wave perspective here on Litecoin. So from our Elliot Wave perspective, we have Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3, Wave 4, Wave 5. Then we have our ABC correction down. So here's Wave A, B, and C. So this is all the subwaves of a bigger picture Elliot Wave structure that's forming on Litecoin. So five waves up, ABC down. So that means that this is all the subwaves of a bigger picture, Wave 1. And if you're new to Elliot Wave theory, go to Google Images and just look around. You'll find examples of what Elliot waves look like, and you'll see that Elliot waves are fractal. So in between wave 0 and wave 1, there's always 5 waves up. Those are called subwaves. And between wave 1 and wave 2, there's an ABC down. That's also subwaves. So there's waves inside of waves. And if you look at this picture, you'll actually notice at the very top here, there's a 1 and a 2. So you can see that even inside of, first we have our subwaves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see the subwaves for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But at the top of wave 5, we also have 1. So that means that all of this is a bigger, so even this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a subwave for a bigger Elliot wave. Now, if it's a meme coin, like a completely rug pulled meme coin, that there's no community behind it, there's no volume, there's no demand. It's not like it's just going to keep doing Elliot waves forever. Elliot waves have to have demand. In order for a market to go up, there has to be demand for that market. So you can't just like draw your Elliot waves on some random meme coin that has like zero volume and say, oh, look, it's going to go for wave 3. You have to find stuff that has demand. That's why anything that goes up has to have demand. But there's a really easy way to look for demand, and all you have to do is go look at volume. And if you go to the 30-day CoinMarketCap 30-day volume rankings, you can quickly see whether there's demand for something. In the last 30 days, Bitcoin has $1.9 trillion in trading volume. If that's not demand, I don't know what is. Litecoin has $11 billion in trading volume in the past 30 days. So, although, you can use Elliott waves to determine what's going to happen next in the market, you can't just assume that there's going to be another bullish Elliott wave impulse if there isn't demand for something. So you have to understand that volume precedes price, and there has to be demand in order for more Elliott waves to happen, for a new Elliott wave set to start. So with that being said, Litecoin has plenty of demand. So we do have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. And then we have wave 2 right here. And then we'll be getting ready for our wave 3. In fact, we've already started wave 3 here. So there's demand for Litecoin. So we can count our subwaves, but then we can count our major wave set, our next macro wave, the next wave up right here, wave 1, wave 2, and now we're getting ready for a wave 3. So that's on the daily candlesticks what I see coming for Litecoin. And by the way, just because of Elliott waves being subwaves, you can also count the subwaves in between wave 2 and wave 3, and that's what it should look like for Litecoin. And by the way, because this is a 3-wave right here, and this is a 3-wave right here, that means that we're getting a 3 of a 3. So we have a macro wave 3 and a micro wave 3. And that microwave 3 should be very, very vertical in nature because it's part of a bigger picture wave 3, and wave 3s are always very impulsive and very vertical. So a 3 of 3 is going to be really vertical. So cool. Now let's go ahead and pull up our fractal comparison for Litecoin. So in terms of accumulation cycles, like we were talking about with Bitcoin Cash and comparing it to early day Litecoin, Litecoin actually looks like early day NVIDIA, which is just so crazy to me. It looks so similar. You can see the same multi-year horizontal accumulation with some pumps and dumps along the way. But overall, it's the same market structure, multiple years of accumulation in preparation for a very vertical, parabolic run for Litecoin. And actually, even the volume profile looks the same. You can see how we have a lot of volume right here, a lot of volume right here, just like how we have a lot of volume right here and a lot of volume right here. So crypto is the next tech bubble. I mean, if you want to call, computing and graphics cards and the internet the last tech bubble, crypto and AI and maybe 3D printers a little bit too are like the next big tech bubble. And when I say bubble, that's probably not the right word to use. The word I should use is the next mass adoption of a new technology, because that's really what these charts are showing. These charts are showing mass adoption coming for crypto. And that mass adoption is the same thing that happened to all the big tech stocks like Nvidia. Look at what happened when it got mass adopted. Everybody, I mean, if you want to play video games on your computer and you don't want it to lag, chances are there's a good chance you have an Nvidia graphics card. That's what I have in my laptop. I'm live streaming this YouTube live stream on right now. Why? Because it was mass adopted. And crypto is set up for mass adoption. So it'll be a household name. Bitcoin is already kind of slightly becoming, at least everybody knows about it, but crypto is not a household name yet. And that's what the charts are showing. They're showing that it will become a household name. So that is my view on Litecoin. By the way, thank you guys all for tuning in. For being a random Tuesday morning, there's actually a lot of people tuning in today, so thank you for all of the support and everybody taking their time out of their morning to tune in. Let's see, what other coins do you guys want me to cover? Can you look at Britto? Sure. Oh, and by the way, what's up, Jason? Good to see you, man. Britto. Britto. Is this, let's see if it's on deck screener. I don't see it on. And is that one R-I-T double T? Okay, let's see. B-R-I-T-T-O. Yes, it is on deck screener. Cool. Wow. That's looking good. It's up 33% in the last 24 hours. This is a pretty typical market cycle as well. It's cool to see the market cycles appearing. Well, it makes perfect sense because human psychology, right? But it's cool to see the market cycles appearing on all of the different coins, whether it's a meme coin, whether it's, whatever it is, just all the different coins show market cycles. Silver shows market cycles. It's really cool to see that. So we are bottoming out here really strongly for this coin. We have more volume than we've ever seen during the entirety of its cycle. This does look like it's an XRP meme coin, and XRP is set up for some really big things, and XRP meme coins are kind of a new thing. So in coming months, and even, maybe over the next 6 months, we could see a huge XRP meme coin bull run. Because they really, they started getting talked about back here, but this is like the first true cycle for XRP meme coins. And this is definitely one that looks really good. This looks amazing. This looks like it's going to go parabolic all the way to a new all-time high. And why do I say that? One of the main reasons I say that is because the volume precedes price. And increasing volume and increasing price is extremely bullish. So you can see how we have a huge 30% run here, or it's actually probably even higher than that. Let's check and see. Yeah, that's 267% from the bottom. It's just up like 30% in the last 24 hours. But this coin, that's more volume than it's ever seen before. Ever. And so increasing price and increasing volume, especially at the bottom of an ABC correction like this, is a huge green light go. The chances that this coin breaks out to a new all-time high, very, very, very high. The probability is extremely high that this will see a new all-time high and a parabolic run. So the name of the game for this coin would be to accumulate. If there's a dip, buy it. You know, if it goes down 20% or whatever in 24 hours, buy it. Really the best thing you could do for this coin is to accumulate. Definitely writing this one down on my phone right now, because I have not heard of this one yet, and it looks really, really good. And I definitely need to check into it, see if I want to buy some. Just based on the chart, I definitely want to buy some of this coin. So that's I'm glad you asked me about this coin. It looks really good. All right, I've got a couple of coin. I'll do some requests for you guys too. I see more requests here in the chat. I've got one coin that somebody on my X account requested that I cover. I don't know if he was going to be able to tune in today, so I'm going to do that real fast as well. Quilibrium, W-Quil. Let's see, W-Quil. I think there's somewhere with more data. Let's see if there is. W-Quil. No, not really. There's not really a lot of data for this coin. It's just too new. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier with big corrections, double bottoms, the beginning of a new cycle. You can see we did have a big correction here. If this coin would have gotten added earlier, like if it would have gotten released earlier, it probably would have had the beginning of the cycle. So if you don't see a full market cycle, just because it got added, like it got released during a bear market, then a lot of times, as crazy as it sounds, you can just kind of imagine that there was a bull run here, just for the purpose of understanding the context of the cycle. So you can just kind of imagine that there was a bull run here, because this coin got released right at the beginning of the correction that happened, where, you know, in 2025 a lot of stuff fell, right? So it got added, at least as far as I can tell, because I couldn't find anywhere else with more data. So what you can kind of do is you can draw what it might have looked like if it was released during the time of the bull market, and that can kind of give you an idea of, oh, you know, this is a market cycle. Because sometimes you see something going down and you just think, there's no market cycle here. Well, there is. It's just that crypto follows each other. And because this coin wasn't released during a bull market, you can see a huge correction here. And no bull run before. So you can just kind of imagine that there was a bull run to help give you context of where you're at in the cycle. So with this coin, this would be the depression phase of the cycle right here. This would be the suckers rally, and this is going to be disbelief. So we're in a bull flag right now for Quilibrium right here. We're in a bullish flag pattern, just like how we are on Bitcoin, what I talked about at the beginning of today's live stream. So a breakout of this bull flag is pretty likely, with a breakout of Bitcoin pretty likely as well, and the market's looking really strong, which would also paint an inverse head and shoulders, which is a very, very high probability pattern. This being our left shoulder right here, our head right here, and our right shoulder right here. So that would be an inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we have a bull flag forming on the right shoulder, and we have an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming across this kind of bigger double bottom structure that's forming since, 2025. So it looks pretty good here. Quilibrium is definitely something I think we'll see a reversal here. We'll see a bull market, and we'll start to see some nice upside. Cool. Now let's cover everybody else's coins that is tuning in. I bought Theta at $1.30. Should I sell my Theta and run for the hills? Well, obviously, a lot of times it's easy to see the market go down like that, and it's really, really tempting to sell because you don't want to lose your money. But if you're feeling that, usually the best thing to do is to buy more. Not to sell, but to buy more. And if you can't do that, just hold on. But buying more in times where you feel like you want to sell, most of the time you're going to make the right choice by buying more rather than selling. It's only when you're like super excited and the market's going up and then you want to buy more that you should sell. But when you're afraid, when the market's down, when you're questioning your investments, usually the best time to buy. So, and Theta, I'm definitely bullish on Theta, just to let you know. How do you stop yourself from leaving money on the table? I have fib extensions and my Elliot Wave planned, but how do you know what fib it will hit and when to take profit? That is an awesome question, Stoic Pioneer. This is why I use the strategy of scaling out. Because to be frankly honest with you, nobody knows what price it's going to top out at. You know, nobody but God knows what price it's going to top out at. So if we pull up the Bitcoin chart, for example, and we zoom out here, what you can do is you can look at other cycles and you can get a pretty good idea of where it could top out based on Fibonacci extensions. And the easiest way to do this is to take the Fibonacci extension tool. Well, it sounds like you already know how to do this. And you measure from the bottom of wave 1 to the top and then back down. And you just set sell orders all along these extensions. And you can even add more extensions too. You can be like, oh, I want the 17,618 and the 11,618 and the 13,618, or you know, the 7,618. And what you do essentially is you just scale out. And you never, especially with something like Bitcoin, where if Bitcoin really is what Bitcoin is, which I believe it is, I believe Bitcoin is revolutionary technology. And same with these altcoins too. And so the price of Bitcoin could go astronomically high. It could go way high. So the temptation would be to sell too early. But what you do is you scale out. So you'd be like, okay, I want to take, 5% here, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here, but never selling 100%. Because if you sell 100% out of the market and then for some crazy reason Bitcoin goes to $1 million per coin and you sold all of your Bitcoin off at 100K or 250K, that's going to really suck, So that's why I believe in scaling out, using Fibonacci extensions to scale out, keeping some in the market as a moon bag. So if it just completely exceeds everybody's expectations, which it definitely could. I mean, look at what happened to Apple computers. There's so many parallels between Apple computers and Bitcoin. And people that bought Apple stock, 90% of everybody that bought Apple stock either sold in 2008 or at the bottom of the internet bubble, or they sold too early because it looked like it was so high that it couldn't go any higher, which is a really common mistake. But if you look at Apple over here on the right and you look at Bitcoin over here on the left, just take a look here at how high Apple went before it topped out. But first, before we look at that, you can see just how similar. Here's the first crypto bubble that had significant volume. Here's the internet bubble. Here's 2008. Here's our FTX, our FTX fiasco. And then look what happened to Apple computers as the technology of home computing and the internet became a household name, became mass adopted, became something that everybody was forced to use. Because if they didn't, they'd get, gone in the dust, lost. They would be left in the dust. But look how high. So if we compare, let's say FTX crash is 2008. We've just barely started to recover here a little bit on Bitcoin. It's even funny how we had a crash right here and we had a crash right here. Kind of crazy. But look at what happened to Apple computers. The danger a lot of people are going to have just because they got burned the last two cycles is selling too soon. Look at this. Isn't this ridiculous? Everybody would have been trying to call the top, call the top, call the top, call the top, call the top. This is why, if you read a good book about technical analysis, like Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets or Elliot Wave Theory Profitability, if you read like a really good book about technical analysis, they'll teach you that the trend is your friend. When there's demand for something, and that demand isn't going anywhere, and people are excited about it, and it's useful, the price can go way higher than what people expect or even dream of. So that can easily be the case for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could go really high. I'm not going to sit here and call for $1 million per coin, but I will say that 250,000 to 400,000 per coin, I'm very confident we'll get at least that high. But it's possible that we even go higher. If it does what Apple did right here, and it becomes a household name, like home computing did, the price of Bitcoin could go really, really high. It could exceed your extension. So just keep some money in the market, even if it's just house money, if it's just completely on the house. Scale out, for sure, scale out, but don't try to sell all at once. And that's the strategy that I believe in for making the most money. It makes the most sense. It's the most logical way to play the market. So can you do XLM? Yes, I can, Lumens. Absolutely. I love how your name is Lumens. So yes, I will do Stellar Lumens for you, Lumens. Do they even still call it Stellar Lumens, or is it just Stellar now? There's so many. You can't keep up with crypto, man. It changes so fast. All the names of stuff, rebrands. Yeah, they do still. I thought they did. I don't know why it only calls itself Stellar on Binance. It's Stellar Lumens on Coinbase, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. There we go. Got to get it on the right side of the chart here. Cool. So I have this drawn right here, which is a parabolic run coming for Stellar Lumens. And just like I was talking about how Litecoin did the same thing that NVIDIA did back in the day, and all that stuff about mass adoption and new technologies, NVIDIA is a really good stock to go analyze if you want to look at a technology that was accumulated before it was mass adopted. And when it comes to Stellar Lumens and NVIDIA, they are spitting image of each other. It's the same thing. It's a multi-year accumulation pattern, and the fruition of this multi-year accumulation pattern could be astronomically large, parabolic and vertical in a way that blows people away. So don't be scared to invest. Scared money does not make money. Do not be afraid to invest in crypto, and especially good coins like Stellar Lumens. Because, yeah, of course, there's risk involved in trading, blah, blah, blah. But the potential upside for changing your life forever is, there's no other market in the world that's going to give you this kind of a potential gain. So be a risk taker. Take a little bit of risk in life. And yeah, Stellar Lumens is one of those calculated risks with very, very low, it's a low risk, high reward setup, which is exactly what smart investors look for. So Stellar Lumens looks really, really good to me. I love this setup. It looks amazing. And in the shorter time frame, it looks incredible too. We just barely finished a perfect Elliot Wave cycle. You can see we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, 5, an ABC correction down, A, B, and C. We broke bullish out of a falling wedge right here, which is really good to see, that falling wedge breakout. And we came back down for a double bottom, which once we break the resistance of the double bottom, that confirms the double bottom. And that will look something like this. Wave 1, wave 2, and we'll be going for a sub-wave 3. Although, of course, you saw the bigger picture analysis. I'm expecting a lot more upside than just that little 3 wave I'm drawing here on the smaller time frames. I'm just showing you what the smaller time frame looks like. So both on the smaller time frame and on the bigger time frame, I see a lot of profit potential for Stellar Lumens. Can you please answer my question above? I did answer your question above. If you're talking about how do you stop yourself from leaving money on the table, I have fib extensions. I assume you mean taking profits. Like, I think I answered your question. Oh yeah, you already responded. I'm reading the messages above. Yeah, you already said thank you. Yeah, I'm happy that you got some value out of it, my friend. So, all right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's live stream. I got a lot of stuff to get ready today to go to Yellowstone this week. I love you. I appreciate you. Save all of your requests. I know I didn't get all of them today. Save all of your requests. The best thing that you guys can do is join the free Discord. Watch out for scammers. I'll never ask you for money or anything like that. But join the free Discord. And in the Discord, you can go into the general chat or the questions box. Drop all of your requested coins in there. And I'll either make a video about it, or I'll write them down on a list and cover them in the next live stream that I do. But it's always funner to have you tune in live too, so even if you do drop your request, tune in live, and you can watch me do analysis on your favorite coins live. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos and in future live streams. As always, stay profitable out there.